You know, most of us probably had that one favorite toy growing up, right? A doll or a stuffed animal that felt like it was your absolute best friend. But what happens when that love, that connection, sticks around long after its owner is gone? What if the toy just refuses to let go? So, can a brother's love for his sister actually become a family's lifelong curse? Well, we're about to dive into an absolutely chilling true story from Japan. And what's wild is that it didn't start with some ancient evil. Nope. It started with a simple, loving gift. And believe it or not, it's a story that over a century later still hasn't ended. All right, let's go back in time. The year is 1918. We're in Japan, and we're about to meet the Suzuki family. Now, this family was held together by an incredible amount of love, which was a good thing because they were facing some pretty serious financial struggles. So you've got Aikichi Suzuki. He's 17 years old, and he just absolutely adores his little sister Kikuko. Their dad's a laborer, grabbing whatever odd jobs he can, and their mom is a seamstress. So yeah, they really didn't have much, but that bond between the brother and sister, it was just unbelievably strong. So little Kikuko's 4th birthday is coming up, and like a lot of kids, she had one big wish. More than anything in the world, she wanted a beautiful doll that could be her best friend. But with money being so tight, her parents, they just had to tell her no. But her big brother, Ekichi, he just couldn't stand the thought of her being sad on her birthday. So for a whole month, he worked his tail off, taking any small job he could find, and he saved up every single yen just to get his sister that perfect gift. And then, in a shop window, he saw it. The perfect one. It was this traditional Japanese doll in a little red kimono. Now, it's interesting because in Japan, these dolls, they're called ningyo, are sometimes seen as more than just toys. Some people believe they can actually hold a spirit. And this one, it had this kind of peaceful look, but its eyes, man, they were so deep, it felt like they could see right through you. Well, Ikichi bought it, and on her birthday, Kikuko was just completely overjoyed. She named her new best friend Okiku. So, just like she'd wished, Kikuko and Okiku became completely inseparable. She'd comb her hair, give her baths. That doll was by her side 24/7. It was this really beautiful, pure moment of joy. But it was all about to come to a tragic end. It happened so fast. One day, Kikuko's playing outside, she gets bitten by a mosquito, and she contracts this horrible case of malaria. And right up until her very last breath, she was clutching that doll, Okaku, tight to her chest. The family was just devastated. They wanted to cremate Okaku with her, which is a tradition in Japan, to help the spirit pass on with its favorite things. But for some reason, they weren't allowed to. So to remember their little girl, they put the Okiku doll on a special shelf in their home. And that is when the real horror started. Just one night later, Eikichi wakes up. He hears these faint sounds coming from the hall. It sounds like a little girl's voice and soft laughter. And it wasn't long before his parents started hearing it too. But then came the first piece of physical proof, something they couldn't just explain away. Ekichi's looking at the doll one day and he realizes its hair, which had been cut in this neat neck-length style, was now down to its shoulders. Not only that, the color was getting kind of brownish, and it even had split ends, like real human hair. At first, his parents just chalked it up to grief, their minds playing tricks on them. So in this attempt to make things feel normal again, Kikuko's mother grabs some scissors and cuts the doll's hair right back to its original length. Oh, this was a terrible mistake. That very night, she has this vivid nightmare of Kikuko sobbing her eyes out because her doll's hair was cut, and she jolts awake screaming because the Okiku doll is sitting right there on her chest, just staring down at her. Okay, so at this point, it's not just unease anymore. This is pure terror. The activity in the house just explodes. They're seeing the shadow of a little girl, the voices are constant, and yep, the doll's hair just keeps on growing. They finally hit a breaking point. They decided they had to get rid of it, for good. So the father, just completely at the end of his rope, he takes the doll out to a nearby field, digs a hole, and buries it deep in the ground. And you can just imagine, for the first time in weeks, they probably felt this huge sense of relief. They thought the nightmare was finally over. But, of course, it wasn't. That night, a sound wakes them up that just shakes them to their core. It's this violent, relentless banging on the front door. I mean, it's so loud, the whole house is vibrating. It sounds like someone is trying to smash the door down, and they can hear crying and screaming mixed in with it. So after what must have felt like an eternity, the banging stops. Just terrifying silence. The father musters up every bit of courage he has, and he opens the door. And there, standing on the doorstep, covered in dirt from where he'd buried it, was the Okiku doll. She was back. And then it got so much worse. Right there, in front of the whole family, the doll's hair starts to grow at this impossible speed. It's like snakes just shooting out and wrapping around the father's neck, strangling him. And in this moment of pure panic, Ikichi just screams his sister's name, Kikuko, and instantly the doll goes limp. The hair loosens its grip. That was it. That was the moment they knew, for sure, that whatever this was, it was tied to his sister. All right, let's move into the next phase of this nightmare. Because this one night of absolute terror, well, it became a long, drawn-out ordeal for the Suzuki family. This wasn't some ghost that was going to fade away. This was a curse, and they were forced to live with it every single day. And get this, they lived with it for 20 years. That's right. For 2 entire decades, the Suzuki family was trapped. Every single time they tried to throw the doll away or bury it or get rid of it in any way, it would find its way back home. And usually, its return came with some pretty terrifying consequences. And the haunting, it wasn't just random. It actually had this chilling rhythm to it. It was like clockwork. Every single year, as Kikuko's birthday got closer, the paranormal stuff would just ramp up, getting more and more intense, until life in that house was basically unbearable. You know, they tried everything. They called in spiritual experts, priests, monks, anyone they thought could possibly help. But nothing worked. Every single attempt to cleanse the doll failed. And what's worse, it actually seemed to make the entity inside even angrier, like it was being provoked. So, after 20 long years of living in absolute fear, the family finally lands on a solution. But it wasn't about destroying the doll. It was about containing it. And this is the part of the story where their private family horror becomes a public legend, one that is still very much active today. Completely beaten down and exhausted, the Suzuki family basically surrendered. They took the doll to the Monanji Buddhist temple and gave it to the monks there. The monks actually accepted it, and for almost 100 years now, the Okiku doll has been at that temple. And here's the kicker. It's still believed to be just as possessed and uncleansed as ever. But hold on, because the story is nowhere near over. You can actually go and see this doll today, though you are absolutely forbidden from taking any pictures. The monks there will confirm it. The doll's hair still grows. They have to trim it regularly. And the most horrifying detail. Well, that's coming out in recent accounts. Visitors are claiming that the doll's mouth, which was always closed, is slowly starting to open. And some people swear they can see teeth growing inside. So that leaves us with this final, really chilling question. What is inside this doll? Is it truly the lingering, heartbroken spirit of Kikuko, a little girl who just doesn't want to be alone? Or did Ikichi, in this beautiful act of love for his sister, accidentally buy a home for something else, something far more ancient and far more